My name is Fa'aolo Utumapu Utailisolo, and I am the Disability Rights Fund and Disability Rights Advocacy Fund Program Officer for the Pacific Island countries. In this video, I will share with you lessons learned from the DRF-DRA Act 2017-2019 Independent Evaluation of Programming in the Pacific. This evaluation was the first DRF-DRAF evaluation with a regional focus. In 2019, after almost 10 years of programming in the Pacific Island countries, DRF-DRAF was interested in examining its contribution to long-standing efforts to further the human rights of persons with disabilities in the Pacific. The evaluation began with a design workshop in conjunction with the Pacific Disability Forum 2019 annual conference. During the workshop, 22 Pacific Island OPD representatives determined the principal questions and focus of the evaluation, which include 1. Roles of OPDs in advocacy achievements, 2. Progress on furthering of human rights for persons with disabilities that had occurred in recent years, 3. Diversity within national disability movements, 4. Identifying effective strategies in disability rights advocacy, 5. Recommendation for DRF-DRAF to continue to improve engagement with Pacific Island OPDs. The evaluation team comprised of Deborah Rhodes from Australia, Ranjaj Prakash from Fiji, and Sandra Gambro, based in Papua New Guinea, completed the evaluation between 2019 and early 2020. The complete report, as well as the response from our DRF-DRAF management team, is available on our DRF website. Also available on our website is the learning summary written especially for OPDs. This 5-page summary, including all the lessons learned but in shorter format, with guidance on how an OPD may use this evaluation findings in their advocacy or fundraising. An easy-to-read version of the learning summary is also available on the DRF website. Both the report and the learning summaries also include examples of activities that OPDs undertook to advance human rights of persons with disabilities, recommendations for DRF and DRAF, and other development partners active in furthering the rights of persons with disabilities in the Pacific, on how to further the rights of persons with disabilities in inclusive education, inclusive elections, establishment of government committees, demographic information on persons with disabilities, employment opportunities, and situational analysis of OPDs in the Pacific Island countries. Now I am pleased to provide a short summary of positive progress that persons with disabilities have made in recent years in furthering the human rights, as well as the factors contributing to the progress. First, the evaluation found that persons with disabilities made critical contributions to changes to national legislation, policy, and government programs. For this example, the Papua New Guinea Assembly of Disabled Persons Association formed national and provincial committee which coordinates the disability issues and the implementation, as well as consultations on the newly established and almost passed Disability Authority Bill. In the Solomon Islands, the Disabled People's Association of the Solomon Islands worked successfully with their government to include the Washington Group questions in the national census. And across the region, the evaluation found that OPDs further their advocacy skills through on-the-job trainings, stronger organizational systems, and increased outreach to members in rural areas. Second, the evaluation found that the participation of persons with disabilities went beyond national process to regional and international advocacy efforts. At the international level, a number of OPDs participated in international and national human rights and SDG monitoring process. This includes the Vanuatu Promotion and Advocacy Association's report to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Committee and the participation in the SDGs monitoring by the Fiji Disabled Persons Federation. These advocacy successes are noteworthy achievements. However, in addition to documenting these achievements, OPDs in the Pacific wanted also to understand if there are common factors that contributed to the furthering of the human rights of persons with disabilities. The evaluation team found 5 factors that contributed to success. The first factor includes the individual and collective efforts. This includes the exceptional leadership, passion, initiative, and commitment, and hard work of a small number of individuals, OPD leaders, and staff, and the extent in which people with disabilities work together and organize themselves in committees, OPDs, events, and consultations. The second factor is the acknowledgement of governments of the Pacific Island countries of their CRPD obligations. OPDs value the efforts of their governments, most whom have ratified the CRPD to improving their CRPD obligations. OPD understands that their advocacy efforts have contributed to this change, including recent OPD government trust building efforts and collaboration in writing states' CRPD reports. The third factor is the existence of regional support and framework, such as the extensive work of the Pacific Disability Forum in training, coordination of OPD exchange, and political moral support. The international and regional engagement is critical. The evaluation also found and also reported the acknowledgement by the OPDs of the ongoing funding by BDF to OPDs, as well as the ongoing funding by DRF, DRAF, which funding have been contributed by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade of the Government of Australia. Fourth, the evaluation found that engagements with international TPOs and civil society contributed to OPD capacity successes in the region. This includes opportunities to learn from the international disability movement in multi-workshops such as the International Disability Alliance, Bridge, CRPD, SDGs, training, and civil societies partners such as the Vanuatu Civil Society Network on Disability or the Papua New Guinea Consultative Implementation and Monitoring Council. Finally, the evaluation found that supports, funding, and advocacy from other donors and development partners contributed to human rights advancement as well, as UN agencies, NGOs, and other sectors such as disaster risk reduction, climate change, aid programs, and gender-based violence make steps to be more disability inclusive. OPDs are more actively sought out and engaged in these sectors. It has been a pleasure to share just a few of the findings from the DRF, DRAF, independent evaluation with you. On behalf of the entire DRF team, I'd like to express my thanks for all the tireless advocacy you, your families, and communities have undertaken. We hope that you will use this learning summary for your own work. We look forward to your ongoing partnership to furthering the human rights of persons with disabilities in the Pacific Islands.